Hey everybody, it's Mike Vasu. I want to welcome you to the Sacrifice Creates Opportunity podcast. Coming to you from Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Over here to my right, your left, is none other than Clayton Slaughter. Clayton is Executive Vice President of our organization. And, I'm really excited, Clayton, to have you on. I know you're going to have a lot of gems that you can drop on everybody just from, your experience and all the amazing things that you've been able to accomplish, in just a short period of time that you've been with our company. So why don't we start off by giving everybody a bit of an introduction to you, just talk a little bit about what you did before American Income, how you found the company, and, how long ago you started, and, just kind of like the early stages of your career with the company.
Awesome. Well, Mike, first of all, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look up to you like a brother, but more than anything, a mentor. And yeah, my name's Clayton Slaughter. Before this, I thought I had life figured out. I was a 19-year-old adult and I was going to college before this. I saw a lot of people that I went to college with. I always hung out with an older crowd. So I saw a lot of people going to college, getting out of college, getting careers or jobs in fields that, they didn't really go to college for, which made me start thinking, okay, is this where I should be right now? Because I never wanted to really go to college. It's more of something that was pushed onto me, influenced, towards me, kind of like what you need to do to be successful or, make it in life, right? So I made a decision that I was going to jump out of college, kind of an executive decision, personal decision at that time. My parents didn't really think it was probably the brightest of ideas, but I went ahead and did it. That's how I was. I was a rebel. And probably the best mistake that I've made my whole entire life, because after this decision, I closely landed, at the Vasu agency. Around that time, it was a different experience for me because I came in around the time that Mike, you had just moved to Houston, just, packed up his whole life from Ohio, moved to Houston. And I kind of came in to the agency around the Google startup days. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where it's like, it was the garage scene. It was, you weren't sure what was going on, but you saw something special was happening because of the energy, the confidence, the professionalism. And, it's kind of like a quick backdrop of what happened for me. Luckily, I was blessed enough to have a friend that was in the right place at the right time and happened to introduce me to all these wonderful people. And, the rest was history at that point. So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Clayton, I mean, that was back in 2016 when you started with the company. So, you've been with us about 7 years. And now you're 26 years old. You're still a very young man, but you've been able to achieve an amazing amount of success. You've been multiple times on stage, number one in your category at different levels with the company. And, you're obviously a competitive person. And I think a lot of people dream about, being at the top, being number one, being recognized, taking home trophies. And I think a lot of times they get kind of lost in the glitz and the glamour of it. And they think it's this, it's all about the celebration and the awards and everybody telling you how great you are. But talk a little bit about what it costs. What is the cost? What does it take to put yourself at that level, not just one time, but to do it consistently over the years as you've been able to do it? What have you learned in your time of being in business that it takes to be a top performer?
Well, I think any great leader will attest that there's a major cost to being a great leader. And that is, number one, you're going to do lots of things or have to do lots of things that people don't agree with. People don't like, people around you don't feel comfortable being a part of or doing because it's not where they feel most comfortable at, right? But also it's all about kind of what you said, it's the behind the scenes work. Everybody sees the person that's getting recognized, that's getting the big check or winning the award, and they see them in that second. And it's very easy to say, hey, I want that. But then you have to really dissect, like, okay, what is this person doing behind the scenes that nobody's watching? And then I think the behind the scenes stuff is, first of all, your discipline. Like, what are the things that you're doing on a consistent basis that are the things that you naturally would not want to do? I mean, I think that's key, because most people, when nobody's watching, they tell themselves, it ain't that big of a deal. I'll do it later, or I'll get to it tomorrow, or this time it isn't a big deal, right? And those are the big deal moments that compound and start to be the result overall of where you're trying to go. And usually if that discipline is not matching up with what your goals are, your vision is, or whatever that target is, then you're going to find yourself in a totally different direction. And I think, it's one of the things that John Maxwell talks about. John Maxwell says, hey, you may not be able to change the destination overnight, but you can change the direction.
That's right.
Right? And the direction is always going to boil down to your sight and your vision and the discipline that matches up with that. So I think it really boils down to discipline and just overall attitude.
You mentioned John Maxwell. He's, considered to be the foremost, if not one of the foremost experts on leadership. How important is it to read and take in information and take time pouring into yourself, and how has that impacted you?
I think this is one of those things where it's like you can't put it into words. It has to be something that you actually apply. And, there's lots of theory leaders out there. They talk about, things, they talk the talk, right? Yeah. But they don't really walk the walk. They don't really do the behind the scenes work. And I think pouring into yourself is the structure of the way you handle things, the way you think about things, the way you talk about things, the way you act towards things and react. I mean, the whole 9 yards. It's literally the structure for everything that happens. So your life literally will be day and night if you just if you just take 10 minutes, 15 minutes to read in the mornings, something that maybe it's not even the same book every morning. I mean, it's just something that maybe is more geared or tailored towards what is it you need in your life right now? What are you dealing with? What are the challenges you're going through? What are the opportunities you have? And what things can you read from what people that will apply to that and help you go to the next level? I think there's no amount of value that you can put on that personally. And it's really hard to put it into words because the easiest thing for you to understand this concept is just do it, action, right? Mm-hmm. So that'd be my advice on it.
Yeah. And I think that, it's all part of the process of getting to know ourselves. And, when you start in the business at 19 years old, I mean, man, you're just like so young. A lot of people probably wouldn't even make it at that age, but you were able to overcome that. What were some of the challenges that you found that you faced at 19 years old, and how did you overcome those challenges to allow you to achieve the success you have?
Well, I think for me, coming into this industry, it probably was a little bit different compared to most people's experiences. A big reason for that is because of my ability to endure stress. And, growing up, I grew up in a family that financially we were good. I mean, it wasn't like things were amazing, but things weren't bad. My mom did very well. My dad had, usually a good amount of income coming in. He was in sales himself. But some of the challenges that I had were more of like personal challenges and family life challenges. Like my dad was a severe alcoholic growing up, so that created a lot of different challenges within our household. I had severe ADHD growing up, so I mean, I almost was held back in like third grade from going to fourth grade. Wow. And so there was just many different things that I feel like when I look back on everything created a lot of different pressure and stress, and also independence. With the way that my childhood was there was lots of things where it's like, hey, you got to fend for yourself on this. Maybe you got to figure this out. There's not, my mom was working all the time. My dad was, doing his thing. And he's a great person, by the way. He's been sober, almost 10 years now. Wow. So he's killing it in real estate, doing a great job. My mom's at her peak in her career. And my challenges weren't like the traditional financial challenges that you hear. They were just totally different challenges that I think personally prepared me in a way that I didn't expect it to for a business like this that's very demanding upfront, that requires a certain type of mental toughness. And For me, like kind of this is all circling back to the point that I don't think what I dealt with was what normal people would deal with. And I think if I was to give advice to the person that was maybe more normal with the way they approach the business is understand that any business that's a performance-based business, real estate, insurance, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, where it's based on your input, you have to understand there has to be a certain level of mental toughness that you build up, at least in the first stages of that business. Without that mental toughness, you're not going to really be able to make it very far. So,
yeah. I mean, no doubt that the experiences you had in a way, as much as they were maybe disappointments or things that you felt were unfair out of your control, you were able to turn them into strengths. And that's something that you have to do a lot of in business, is taking like a negative and turning it into a positive. And so let's go a step further and talk about not just like the foundation that you had, which allowed you to be mentally tough, but how do you continue to be consistent, when it is so easy, especially at your level of success. This year, you're going to clear 7 figures of income, which I know is crazy to say, for someone that's 26 years old. But, you make 7 figures of income. And I know that this is really just the start, that, a few years down the road, we're going to be doubling that. And, it's going to continue to increase. How do you stay hungry when it's so easy to become complacent? And why do you continue to stay hungry?
I just logically, common sense speaking, I don't know how you could not stay hungry in an environment where every 30 seconds you pick up your phone, you're seeing people in private jets, you're seeing people drive whatever cars they want, you're seeing people spending millions of dollars. How in the world could you be complacent in the type of environment we live in these days? But I think this is one of the things that makes it extremely important to have a mentor, to have someone that you go to, you get wisdom from, you get advice from, you get mindset from, because they're going to be the ones that don't allow you to get sedated in the moment. You've said this before. It's like you can't let income sedate you. It's income is not a definition of who you are, how you're doing. It's a scoreboard. That's it. It's just a measurement tool. That's all. So I've been blessed to have you in my corner as a mentor, and I think that when you choose the right mentors and you really actually believe and commit yourself to listening to their advice and being humble, especially in the moments where you may not agree. Maybe like your emotions take over and you're like, yeah, whatever, screw that. Like that's the most important time is to listen during those moments. But, it also boils down to vision. When you have a real long-term vision, like this is where I see myself, you think about it, you dream about it, you can communicate it very clearly. I think it's got to be big enough to where when you do have that success, it doesn't slow you down.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good, that's a really good way to say it. And another thing too, I think is that if you make, let's say, $1 million and you feel yourself slowing down, well, I think you've just kind of discounted your own worth. Right. You think that's where you're kind of like, wow, that was way more than I thought I was worth. Where people who really achieve great levels of success, they understand that what they bring to the table is priceless. And certainly I would describe, Clayton, you and the things that you've done for our organization, the things that you've done for people in our organization as being, priceless. And I know that it's, you're really so young, so it's just the beginning. I know that you're going to have so many things that you do in the future that are going to just absolutely trump the things that you've done so far. And, we certainly value and appreciate you, and we see and admire the many contributions that you've made to the organization and to the company overall, because you're without a doubt seen as one of the elite leaders in all of American income. For someone that's thinking about joining the company or being part of our organization, and maybe they're hesitant, they're like, I don't want to do commission, I don't know about sales. I heard bad things about the insurance business. Not a pitch, but just honestly, from your experience, what you've seen that you would sign your name to, what are the things you would want them to know, and what should they be considering if they're in that place where they're thinking about it?
That is such a loaded question, because either way it goes, it's going to be biased because of the great opportunity this company's provided for me. But you know, if I was somebody that was not in the company and I was looking for a company to land my feet or to go all in with, or maybe even just take a shot with, I think the first thing that I would ask myself is do the people that are representing this company come off as authentic? Like, when I hear them speak and I see their face and I see their body language and their energy, is it genuine? Because I think that's the number one thing that anybody who has no experience or a ton of experience, they're going to immediately gravitate towards the people that are genuine, that are authentic, that are just being honest.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's very important. And I think with that being said, you know, I started with this company when I was 19, and it's taught me more about life than I could imagine at this point anything else would. And, you know, my family's proud. My girlfriend, Tiffany's proud. She plays a huge part in the business. I have my best friends and mentors, and it's became a family. And you know, 7 years later, I'm helping, you know, host a March Madness contest with our agency for our top performers in Mexico. It just keeps getting bigger and better, but I think you just got to check it out for yourself. You need to dive deep into it, assuming that the people you hear are people you feel like you can relate to and see yourself working with. That's really it.
Yeah. You know, Clayton, we probably could sit here for hours, you know, just talking, and I'm sure that we'll have more time on camera where we're going to share our thoughts. And I think it's good to have the people that are watching be, you know, a little hungry for more, you know, so that they see the next time that you're around. But I just want to give you the opportunity at this point, you know, whatever might be on your mind or on your heart that you feel like you wanted to share with everybody. In closing, I just want to give you the opportunity to just share that with them. And it could be something super short. It could be something more elaborate, like whatever's on your heart, just transparently, kind of unfiltered. I'd ask you to just kind of share with everybody in closing.
You know, I feel like I was thinking about this today, is that every human being they have to be. They've got to be wired in a way where you default yourself to thinking, I could be more. I could be doing more. I could be living a better lifestyle. I could be living around better people. And I feel like if that's you, we got to find those people. And we need to lock arms, and we need to do that together. I mean, we need to push each other, compete with each other, grow each other. And, you know, like they say in the Bible, iron sharpens iron. Yeah. But I'm just thankful to have people like you, Mike, surrounded, you know, in my life. And, you know, I feel like what you see right now, obviously, is what you get. Yeah. But more is to come.
Well, Clayton, that was awesome. And there's no doubt, I think people are going to really understand why you've been able to achieve the things that you have in your career. And as I mentioned before, you know, we're so grateful for you and for your leadership and all the great things that you do for our organization, the leadership that you provide, and the sacrifices that you make to help make our organization great. And so, you know, we thank you very much for your time. And, you know, for all of you guys that are watching, just want to remind you of the motto. You know, the motto, sacrifice creates opportunity. I believe it. You know, we live it. We've seen it play on our lives. And, you know, we're really happy to be coming to you live here from Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Arriba!